interleague play.
Greatest game. We're trying to come up with a new name. Eric Young Jr. will lead it off. Juan Lagares, terrific defensively, is in center. David Wright and Curtis Granderson told their manager they wanted to make this trip. Andrew Brown, the DH. Eric Campbell's at first. Wilmer Flores at second. Travis d'Arnaud, one of the top prospects for the Mets, will be behind the plate. And Omar Quintanilla plays short.
Let's set the Cubs defensively for you this afternoon. Matt Caesar, Ryan Sweeney, Darnell McDonald left, center, and right around the infield. Donnie Murphy at the hot corner. Javier Baez, your shortstop today. Darwin Barney and Anthony Rizzo on the right side. Eli Whiteside. Farnsworth right side. Behind the dish, and there's veteran left-hander Tsuyoshi Wada. Those are his numbers at AAA in the Orioles organization last year. 5-6 with a 4.03, 19 starts. He was coming back after Tommy John surgery and elbow injury sidelined him the previous year. So shortly after signing a 2-year deal with the Orioles, Wada got hurt and has not pitched a whole lot since then, and not in the big leagues. So at one time, the Orioles thought he might be a guy that could slide into the middle or the back end of the rotation. That didn't pan out. Cubs signed him to a minor league deal back in January with an opportunity to come to camp and compete for a job here.
So he gets to start today. We'll see Carlos Pimentel, maybe Justin Grimm, Blake Parker. Left-hander Zach Rosscup also on the list.
And Wada making his first start of the spring. He's appeared in 2 other ball games. His 3 2/3 innings of work so far in the exhibition games. He's a finesse guy, 33 years of age, fastball, just probably 85 to 87 miles an hour. Throws a slider, curve, and a change as well. Has good command after a very long and successful career in Japan.
So E.Y. Jr., son of former major leaguer Eric Young Sr., who at one time played for the Cubs, will lead things off against Wada. A little hitch in that windup. And right down the middle for strike one. Dimensions are deep here because the ball flies. It's 433 with a high wall to straightaway center. And with a wind today, I think somebody might reach it.
Yeah, it's the kind of ballpark as a pitcher you walk in here and you feel pretty comfortable. You look at the big dimensions, you think it's a good place to pitch, but not the way the ball jumps here.
Wada's 0-2 in the dirt. Busy weekend for the Cubs. The other split squad is back in Arizona. So today, tomorrow, and then on Monday, the Cubs will have 2 games. So that's 6 over the next 3 days. The 1-2 is inside for a ball.
And after that run, they'll be on the downside of the exhibition schedule, sliding towards opening day. And as I mentioned in the open, this is a time of spring where, sometimes guys get a little antsy. We've been playing these exhibition games for a while, and everybody's anxious to start playing games that really matter.
Line shot, and it's going to drop down for a leadoff single.
Well, for a guy like Wada, it's all about location, deception. He's not going to overpower hitters. That would appear to be up a little bit in the happy zone for Young.
Now Lagares, the center fielder. And Wada will check on Young. You were briefly a Las Vegas Star way back when.
1992. Spent a couple of months here.
I would imagine most pitchers probably don't have fond memories of this ballpark. Do you?
I don't have many memories of this ballpark. I have fond memories of that time. It was weird because after a 6-year run in the big leagues, I found myself back in AAA, and I actually kind of enjoyed it. Because sometimes in the big leagues you can get a little jaded, and it was kind of fun to go back and just kind of simplify things. I wouldn't recommend doing it over and over again for a baseball player, but at that point in my career, I actually really enjoyed my time here.
1-1, and that one is deep and off the wall. Caesar will retrieve it. Young to third. It's a double for Lagares. There you go.
Hey, look at that. He's been digging hard down there in the truck. Yeah, I made quite an impression on the folks here. I was looking at one of their programs from a few years back, and they had the all-time roster listed, and they had me as a right-handed pitcher. So clearly made a big impact.
Doesn't get any easier here for Wada facing David Wright, the captain of the Mets. Mets don't have a particularly high payroll, and they have had 5 consecutive losing seasons. They count a lot on this guy, David Wright. And we were chatting with his manager before the game, Terry Collins, and could not say enough good things about him. Said every rule I've set, David Wright has followed, and that sets a great example.
Yeah, Collins has done a real nice job in a tough media market for sure. Losing seasons, there's always controversy swirling around the New York teams, swirling around the teams. But he's been able to weather it, and I think, you know, in that conversation we had with him, he kind of alluded to the fact that he's grown as a manager. You know, earlier in his managerial career, he had the reputation of being real feisty, and I think he's kind of mellowed a little bit. Still a great competitor.
One and two on Wright, the infield back. Nobody out. We're just underway. The Cubs want an out.
I see right there with 2 strikes. 2 strikes, just being real quiet with the lower body, using his hands. Thinking big part of the field. Lazy fly ball to center field, gets one home. There's not a whole lot going on there with the lower body.
Donald will go after it. It's going to be over his head. And now Sweeney will have to pick it up, and the Mets will get a couple on David Wright's 2-run double. Might want to settle in, partner.
Yeah, I don't know if Yoshi's a golfer, but I guarantee he'd like to have a mulligan and start this one all over again. A lot of hard contact here early on. Solid single Young, and back-to-back doubles, picking him off the wall. Lagares and now Wright. And we're talking about Terry Collins and the way he's embraced his veterans. That's kind of out of the old managerial 101 playbook. You know, have a meeting early, gather your veterans, get 5 or 6 core guys in there and say, here's what I'm thinking, what are you thinking? And that way, when everybody breaks out of that meeting, they're all on the same page, and any other players that come along, younger guys or players that join the club later in the year, it's all spelled out for them.
The Chicago native Curtis Granderson got a 4-year free agent contract to go across town from the Bronx to Queens. You may be wondering, why are the Cubs playing the Mets and not another team that trains in Arizona? Well, the Las Vegas 51s are the AAA affiliate of the Mets. So there will be some guys who will participate today who spent last year here in Las Vegas. Should be the first nightmare. Yeah. And it's Donnie Murphy. He made it look pretty easy, but as you said, it's not an easy play.
He's kind of throwing his arms up. He battled it, but he got it. Can of corn for Donnie Ballgame. Not the ideal situation, is it, to have your AAA club this far away from the big league team?
Now Andrew Brown, he's the DH. In the dirt, blocked by Whiteside. Cubs announced their opening day starter earlier this week, Jeff Samardzija. It'll be March 31st in Pittsburgh right here on WGN. So he'll start on opening day for the second consecutive year. Jeff pitching today in surprise Arizona against James Shields of the Royals. Travis
Wood and, and then Edwin Jackson in the finale of that 3-game set in Pittsburgh.
Called strike. Jason Hamill expected to be number 4. Looks like Jake Arrieta will start the year on the disabled list. Another ball hammered. And that one nearly got out. Top of the wall. Wright's going to score. Feels a bit like pinball right now.
Like arena baseball. Elevated. Not much action on that fastball.
So Lester Strode, the Cubs bullpen coach, he's the pitching coach here this weekend, out to try to settle things down.
And when you're a finesse guy like Wada, you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place sometimes. You're trying to make a club, you're trying to make an impression, and you want to be known as aggressive and throwing strikes, but when your stuff is a little short, you got to be careful, boy. Strikes sometimes can be overrated. He doesn't have a lot of natural movement on his fastball, so he's really got to work down below the knees, or he can go way up out of the zone, but that mid-thigh fastball, that's not going to play for him.
Eric Campbell is playing first. Mets dealing with some injury problems at first base. Ike Davis and Lucas Duda with some leg problems.
Calf and hamstring respectively for those two guys. Talking to Terry Collins before the game, looks like Duda's going to be back more quickly than Davis. Davis was banged up much of last year.
The 1-1.
There you go. He didn't get the call there, but he's got to live out there down below the knees off that outside edge. Maybe throw the changeup a little bit more. His changeup has pretty good action.
A lot of foul territory here, but nobody can get to it. Yeah, I was looking forward to the Wada Duda matchup. That'll have to wait until later. Three runs in for the Mets here in the first. Big crowd here. Just about every permanent seat is filled, and starting to see some fans on the berms down by the foul poles as well. Swing and a miss. Strike three. That's out number 2.
One time he got away with the fastball. He was able to slip it by Campbell. Maybe the soft stuff early set that up. Maybe just a little bit of a slow bat.
Now Wilmer Flores. He's playing second. Sky high to right. McDonald to end the inning. Mets get 3, and the Cubs are coming up from Vegas.
This is the cry.
Written out by Rick Renteria. Barney Murphy, Sherholtz at the top. Rizzo, Sweeney, Javier Baez hitting .318 with 3 homers. McDonald, Whiteside, and Caesar at the bottom.
And the Mets defensively, plenty of speed in that outfield. The young Lagares and Granderson, infield of right, Quintanilla, Flores, Campbell at first base, Travis d'Arnaud. Really good looking young catching prospect behind the plate for the veteran, now 40-year-old Bartolo Colon. You look at his numbers last year in Oakland, 18-6 with a .265.
Slot in behind Jonathan Neese. Matt Harvey coming off Tommy John surgery. They're not expecting him to pitch this year, even though that's possible late in the year. They're definitely not counting on it. All right, so Colon has been around a long time. How has he not only remained in the big leagues but thrived?
Yeah, he's been, a remarkable story, because it looked like he was toast a couple of years back, but he has come back and pitched very effectively. He's a strike throwing machine. He throws a lot of sinkers. Able to keep the ball on the ground. There's the demeanor of a guy who's just out there kind of walking his dog. Just kind of strolls around, gets it and throws it. 190 innings pitched last year for the A's.
That was a sinker at 87. So Barney aboard, and now Murphy.
Yeah, in other games he'll go out there and he'll throw one fastball after another. So when we talk about Watt and how he has to be more precise, Colon, because of the sinking action on his fastball, when he's in a groove, he can just kind of start that thing a little bit above the knees, get some late movement down below the knees, and coax a lot of ground balls.
We'd love to hear from you today. Len and JD at Tribune.com. That's our email address. We're on Facebook and Twitter. Left center. Lagares.
He's not an extreme ground ball pitcher. Probably the thing he does best is just limits the walks. Last year, 29 free passes in those 190 plus innings of work.
One thing to keep an eye on early in the season for the Cubs in the outfield is how their new manager will handle the platoon situations. Because as it stands right now, You've got 2 left-handed hitters among your 3 opening day guys. Junior Lake in left, Sweeney and Schuerholz in center and right. Last year, Nate Schuerholz did not get a ton of playing time against left-handed starters. Remember, it was Scott Hairston to start the year in that platoon in right. And you know, Nate would like to play every single day. That's ideal for him. Bounces to first. And they go 3-6-3 to end the inning. After 1. Let's see if Wada can now settle down after giving up 3 runs on 4 hits in the first. Travis d'Arnaud, the Mets catcher. Got him from the Blue Jays.
Part of that R.A. Dickey deal. And one of the Jays' top prospects.
Two balls, no strikes. Small sample size last year in his first major league experience. Just 112 plate appearances. That's the pitch that you were talking about.
Yep.
He gets that call. That's where he has to live.
Yeah, it kind of works underneath the ball sometimes, and it'll flatten out on him. But when he gets on top, gets the ball down around the knees, he can be effective.
Roll to Baez.
You know, this season the Cubs are celebrating 100 years of Wrigley Field, and it all kicks off on opening day Friday, April 4th. Limited tickets are still available for opening day, which will feature a matchup against Ryne Sandberg's Philadelphia Phillies. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com.
Omar Quintanilla playing short today. So Javier Baez is a shortstop, and that's where he'll be to start the year with Iowa. However, when we get back to Arizona, he's going to get some time at second base. Trying to add to his versatility. Might even play a little third at some point. Hard but foul.
Yeah, you're always hesitant to give up on a kid, you know, who can play the shortstop position. He's made a lot of errors coming up through the Cubs system, but he's still very young. And when you have that kind of power, and he's got that kind of raw ability with the bat, if you can handle shortstop at the big league level, you've got a very, very special player. You know, no matter where he goes in the infield, he's going to be an offensive force. But if he can do it and play shortstop, then you know, his value is sky high.
The fans wondering about Starlin Castro just 2 games before the strained hamstring. He's not yet back into game action. Cubs don't seem too concerned that he'll miss time to start the year, and he feels like he should have plenty of time to be ready for opening day. The one good thing about late in the spring, JD, is that the minor league games have started. So if you feel like you need to catch up on at-bats, you can go over to the minor league side of camp and lead off every inning. It's a much more controlled environment.
Yeah, you can even do that when you're not 100% physically. Just tell the guy, hey, have some at-bats. Just go easy down the line if you put the ball in play. We're used to seeing live pitching again. The last thing you want to do at this stage is spring is push it, have a setback, and then not be ready to answer the bell on opening day.
Sweeney in center. Ryan can play all 3 outfield spots.
And you were talking last half about the outfield situation. I think that's where Justin Ruggiano plays an important piece too. You know, the ability for him to play out there, you know, it's going to give Ricky Renteria a little more flexibility than, say, Dale Swain had last year, because they were a little too left-handed in the outfield last year.
Young with a leadoff single and scored in the first inning. Sure, not a lot of research has been done on this topic, but the Mets have long played in Florida, the Cubs in Arizona for spring training. This could be the first time they've ever matched up. Potentially historic matchup this weekend.
We probably should have opened with that. What do you think? For the first time ever.
He was going to maybe push one toward first base and pulled it back 3-1. Cubs system stocked with young position players. The Mets feel really good about their pitching at the minor league level. Timetables seem to be somewhat similar.
Of course, Matt Harvey, we talked about him a little bit early on. He's just a kid. The prospect Syndergaard, big arm. Wheeler, who's here, very talented young guy.
Like McDonald will take it, and Wada does settle in. He's now retired 5 in a row. Big league weekend here in beautiful Las Vegas.
Coming into this
underway in the Cubs' second. Anthony Rizzo off to a good start this spring, still looking for his first homer. He's 8 for 21, 2-0.
Here you go. Hitters count. Ball's jumping.
How about Bartolo Colon's 2002 season? Split it between the Indians and the Expos. He became the second pitcher ever to win 10 games in each league. Do you know who the first was?
Give me a year, a decade.
I'll give you. All right. 1945.
1945. Ooh, that's tough. Al Newhouser.
High in the air. This could be number 1 for Rizzo, and it is over the high wall in right center.
I don't know if we predicted it, but we kind of did.
We pointed out that he hadn't hit one until that shot.
Didn't do it on 2-0, but he did it on 3-1. Hitters counts both, and talked about Colon, a guy who doesn't walk many. He'd rather attack you, put the ball in play, and boom. Hearing really good things, reading really good things. Scouts that are watching Anthony Rizzo this spring. You've been here. You see, I was here for the opener, and this is just the second game I've seen live.
He's made really good contact throughout the spring, even the outs he's made.
Looks to me like he's holding his hands. His little hands are a little bit quieter in the box. We could probably ask Billy Miller about that.
Line shot. Right to Flores. We will talk with Bill Miller in the next half inning. I don't want to leave people hanging.
Oh, yeah.
Hank Borowy.
Hank who?
Hank Borowy, 10 games with the Yankees. He won 11 with the Cubs as they went to the World Series.
I'm familiar with Hank. Wow.
So Colon went 10-4 with the Indians and 10-4 with the Expos. Won the Cy Young in 05. Here's Javier Baez. Bounced in front of home plate. He alluded in the open to the home run he hit against the Mariners. It was off Randy Wolf a couple of nights ago in Peoria, Arizona, and it hit the scoreboard and left. One of the longest home runs we've seen in spring training, for sure. Wright gets rid of it quickly and got him. And somebody thought it was the third out. Eric Campbell thought it was out number 3. That's only 2, Eric.
That'll cost you. Hey, you know, the best season ticket option in the city continues to be the Executive Club at Wrigley Field. Your guests will enjoy an all-inclusive top-shelf bar and gourmet food in this high-end space. Visits from seventh-inning stretch celebrities and former Cub players part of the package as well. For information, contact the Premier Sales Team at 773-404-4200 or Cubs.com/Premier.
Darnell McDonald.
Yeah, I was watching the telecast of that game against the Mariners, and Baez hit that home run off Randy Wolf. And you know, everybody makes the comparison to Gary Sheffield. When I saw that swing, Happy Gilmore came to mind. I mean, he just completely airs it out.
High strike on McDonald, 0-2.
Clone used to be a high-octane guy, mid-upper 90s with the fastball.
Anthony Rizzo with a home run, his first of the spring. That gets the Cubs on the board. We'll talk to his hitting coach when we come back.
He's having a good spring, hitting an even 3.
To know a lot of these guys on a personal level.
Yeah, that's right. You know, it starts with the relationship, and you know, it's sometimes it's you know, you have to work at that to get to know these guys with their swings and everything like that, and sometimes it gets real personal with some of these guys and their work and their, you know, obviously how they handle their swing. So it's always good to start there with the relationship and build from there.
Bill, I'm sure there's a part of it with being a good coach at this level of picking your spots, right? You don't want to nitpick all the time, and also pointing out the stuff you like, right? Because you got to balance it out. You guys don't want to feel like every time you're giving them something, it's not change this, change that.
That's 100%, no doubt. You know when to go in there and make a point, and obviously you know when to go in there and trying to help make an adjustment and things like that. So, you know, you're always walking that fine line to pick your spots as best you can, and all these guys are really good people. So it makes my job a lot easier.
I want to ask you about Anthony Rizzo, Bill. He just hit his first home run of the spring, and I haven't seen the club play a whole lot so far. Looks to me like he's made a little bit of an adjustment with his hands here this year.
Yeah, you know, so far so good. You know, we're also you know, working on that process of you know, his approach and keeping that and kind of really investing in and preparing for that April, and you know, having some good at bats and doing that. And sure, there's going to be some small things to work out once we start getting in these games, and the velocity of the fastball, and obviously the breaking balls start getting sharper, and we get in, you know, situations with him with runners in scoring position and things like that, 2 strikes. So sure, there's small things that we'll be doing and things like that, and that is one of the small adjustments up to this point. But he's been doing super, and I'm extremely happy.
Bill, we used to run into you a lot in the press box. You had a different role. You watched the game from a different angle. How helpful was that for you to not be in uniform for a while and then get back on the field?
You know, it's one of those really, it was a great thing for me, because I always tried to attack my weaknesses and or things that made me a little bit uncomfortable, and being able to see the game from the stands a little bit, was something I've never done before, and writing those reports and making a call on a guy, seeing him for 4 or 5 games and doing that and evaluating players was good for me, because it's helped me break down some of these pitchers a little bit quicker, and also helps with the hitting aspect of adding some of that quick adjustment, in-game adjustment stuff as well.
How impressed have you been by some of the youngsters, Baez, Bryant, Mike Oltz comes to mind?
Yeah, it's wonderful, this whole organization, that the character of people that they've that are involved here has been wonderful, and along with the special talent that these young guys have, it's also with the special character that they bring along to the game as well. It's just been a great experience to be around these guys and being able to throw some suggestions their way, whether it's about approach or whether it's about how the game's played and watching the game and things like that. So it's been really nice.
You also bring a unique perspective as a former player who played. Every place you played was a big deal. The Giants, the Cubs, the Red Sox, the Dodgers. You played with big market teams with an intense fan base. So you get it, right? You understand what it's like to be a Cub and to have all the different start times. And I'm sure that can't hurt for you coming into this either.
Yeah, it's what a wonderful experience that was, be able to be in all those big markets, and the little things were a big deal, and that's the same thing going over here, small things in your work and the process of your work, and the cage time or the BP time, and obviously the games and everything. So it's every game's a big game, and that's what's special about being in those big markets, because you're always in those situations with playoff hunts and everything like that, and then obviously all the in-game stuff with different times being in Chicago and everything, having that understanding and going to help these guys prepare and get ready to win some ball games.
No replay today. Looked like Curtis Granderson thought he got hit by that pitch. Adrian Johnson said no. Now the umpires, which is the right thing to do, they're going to get together and try to figure it out.
Was he selling it? He right now?
Yeah, he did. And
smart thing to do.
Well, we're going to get a look at
the wind blowing out. I don't know.
It's really hard to tell. And now Ricky's going to come out and say, "Wait a minute, you got it right the first time."
I think Ricky's also going to argue, wait a minute, you were the guy that was right on top of the play, and so how could somebody out on the base path?
That, you know what, it did.
It looked like it might have gotten him.
It hit him in the top of the foot. Bill, I got to go back to 03.
Yes.
I remember coming to Fenway with the Florida Marlins, and you may recall you guys scored 45 runs in the 3 games, including 25 runs in Game 1. Johnny Damon had a single, double, triple in the first inning. I think every guy in the lineup was hitting 300. That's the best offense I've ever seen. I'm sure it was the best offense you ever played with, and you won the batting title that year.
Yeah.
Trot Nixon. I mean, people forget about what a great year he had that year.
What a great group of guys. It's all those guys understood their roles, and very talented guys, super character people, guys that once they stepped on that field gave it everything they had to help the team win that game, and really selfless a lot of the times. And I always joke about it, how many batting champions were hitting 8th in their lineup, so that's how good the lineup was.
I think he probably hit 3rd that night, but he probably moved around the lineup a little bit. I think Varitek was hitting 9th a lot of the year, and he hit 273, slugged .512 that year, and hit 25 homers. A number 9 hitter?
Right.
Are you kidding me?
Well, turning back the clock a few years prior, Butch Hobson, I remember one year hit 9th in that Red Sox lineup and drove in over 100.
Oh my goodness.
That would have been in the Rice era.
Yeah, the wall was your friend there, let me tell you.
And a base hit for Andrew Brown, and the Mets get another run, and they now lead 4-1. Bill, last thing, the new complex in Arizona, a lot of extra batting cages. Whatever work you want to get done, you get done. That's nice for you, isn't it?
Oh, it's wonderful. I mean, you can't say enough about the facilities and what the minor leaguers as well as the big leaguers are going to be able to have the work and all year round. So it's first class, and especially when you're in Arizona where the weather's great all the time, so you can get a lot done there. And just excited for everybody to be able to get in there and get their work done.
Great to have you back in Cubs Blue, Bill. Thanks for the time.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
That's the new hitting coach, Bill Miller. Pitching change, and we'll be back. Star and some dates to know. Looking ahead at the month of April. So here's Frank Batista. He's a closer by trade. He's going to try to get out of a big-time jam here. A run in, bases loaded, nobody out.
Needs a little Vegas illusion right now.
To third, Murphy will fire to the plate. They get one, and that will be it. Campbell bounces into a fielder's choice.
A little indecision there by Donnie Murphy. Maybe cost him an opportunity to get two. It looked like he was initially going to go to the bag. Then he opted to come home after taking a couple steps towards third base. A lot of different options there this early in the ball game. Maybe the best play is just go around the horn with a double play, or run to the bag and throw to first for the double play.
Swing and a miss by Flores. Batista is 24. 19 saves last year at Tennessee. Finished second in the Southern League.
Good sink there on a low 90s fastball. Struck out 52 in 62 in the third innings, walked 28.
I watched him eyeball and I'm like, what's still going on? Let me get there.
Normally what happens throughout much of spring training, if a pitcher gets in trouble in the middle of an inning, the guy to usually get out of the inning is not on the original pitching list. Those guys are generally there to start an inning. So you'll have some minor league guys, and pitching coach will tell them before the game, if somebody gets in trouble, you're going to get us out of it. But as you said, as we start to get toward opening day, guys start to slot more into their regular season roles, and you'll see Jose Veras not pitch in the fourth inning, more toward the back end of the game.
And maybe come in with men on base as opposed to just starting an inning clean. Usually around the last week or so of spring training, managers try to play the game like they would during the regular season.
I did it for the fans.
2-2. Checked his swing, and that'll land foul. Yeah, for instance, the Dodgers and Diamondbacks late next week will play each other in Australia, so they're going to fly out. Well, the Dodgers are leaving tomorrow. We saw yesterday late in the ball game Crawford, Puig, and Gonzalez taking at bats in like the 8th inning. No other teams are doing that, but they're getting close to playing games that count. Speaking of which, Carl Crawford will not travel to Australia as his wife is due with their third child. I guess that could change if the baby's born here in the next few days. Called strike 3, 2 outs.
A lot of struggles provided this opportunity for Batista to get in the ball game, and so far so good. Got the weak ground ball, could have been a double play. Now he just overpowers Campbell, punched out for the second time here this afternoon. Good action on that slider, a little bit of a sweeper. And clearly has him fooled and ultimately finished him off. Good slider there.
And a strike to d'Arnaud.
One of the interesting things about spring training, different things to different people. Veteran guys who are here just trying to get ready to play championship season, they go about it one way. A guy like Batista, I guarantee his heart's pounding out there.
Picked by Murphy, and Batista does get out of it with no further damage. Nicely done. Midway in the third from Las Vegas.
Opening night at Safeco Field. Make sure you join us.
Be in Phoenix to play the A's on Sunday. And then on the 27th, the White Sox broadcast Sox and Cubs. Final game from Mesa this spring. Ford go further in any one of Ford's many fuel-efficient vehicles. Check out America's freshest lineup at your local Ford store or at localfordstores.com. Speaking of Mesa, yesterday against the Dodgers, the Cubs drew another Cactus League record attendance, 15,191. The Cubs have set 4 new Cactus League records already.
If you build it, they will come.
Actually 5. Averaging 13,507 at Cubs Park. The 1-2 to Eli Whiteside, hit foul. We should note, and we'll have both games here on WGN, the home opener on April 4th against Ryne Sandberg and the Phillies, and April 23rd against the Diamondbacks. That's the actual 100th anniversary of Wrigley Field opening as Weekman Park back in 1914. There are tickets available for both those games. One away here in the Cubs' third. It'll be the Chi-Feds and the Kansas City Packers on April 23rd.
And the weather's going to be spectacular.
Yes. Matt Caesar playing left. Good pick by Quintanilla.
Mets are winning the time of possession game here this afternoon. It's fairly typical of a Bartolo Colon game to move along his end of it. He throws a lot of strikes.
So as a pitching aficionado, do you get more out of watching a Matt Harvey, a Justin Verlander, somebody with plus stuff who can blow people away, or watching a guy like Colon or maybe a Livan Hernandez 2 or 3 years ago, or a Jamie Moyer at the top of his game?
Yeah, you know, I certainly can relate more to the soft tossers. I mean, I appreciate.
That's not where I was going.
I appreciate the you know, the skill set when you watch a guy like Verlander on top of his game. It's really impressive, you know, his ability, and you know, and the best guys are the ones that have power and precision, right? The guys that can do it both. But you know, I do like, you know, like a Bronson Arroyo, a guy who's always changing angles, and you know, Colon has developed into a finesse type guy, but he's not really a set you up tricky guy that as much as he's just throwing a lot of quality strikes.
As much as we try to complicate this game when it comes to being good on the mound, hitting your spots is still as simplistic and true as it's ever been. Darwin Barney, 2 hits from the leadoff spot.
If you don't walk people, you keep the ball in the ballpark, you got a real good chance of being successful. Force the other club to string some hits together to beat you, and well, got some guys that can catch the ball out there for you, then pretty good recipe.
That's the thing about that last pitch. Really the only option Darwin had if he swung at it was a ground ball. Whether it finds a hole or not is another story. But that's the kind of pitch that limits slugging percentage. You get guys to swing at it.
Yeah, and last year he pitched in that big ballpark in Oakland. This year at Citi Field, he'll be in a similar situation. So he really is set up for success again this year if he stays healthy. I always wonder about a 40-year-old guy, how long he's going to, be able to go to the post.
Got the high strike that time. Well, like Levon, the demeanor he has on the mound too, it's just he doesn't get flustered. And David Wright throws out Donnie Murphy. We go to the fourth. 4-1 Mets.
Forward shading.
Big weekend.
New pitcher for the Cubs is Carlos Pimentel. And the best thing, Rossi, and we talk about this every year we come here. A lot of Cub fans come here for the games. And then there are a million other things to do.
There are. We've got 2 of the basketball championships going on in Las Vegas this weekend. We've got the Pac-12 and we've got the Mountain West, so there's basketball, and we're kicking off March Madness next week, so people, if they want to stay over for a couple of days, but always something happening in Las Vegas, the destination. We just got it. NASCAR was last weekend.
On the corner. Great day to play golf.
It would be. You can go on one of our 54 courses, so there's a golf course for everybody's ability as well as variety, so you can come out and have a great time.
It is yanked foul. So my partner not only plays golf, but was a Las Vegas star briefly back in 1992.
You probably remember that.
I'm sure you do.
I do.
Yes.
I've been in Las Vegas since 1951, and I've been with the convention center. In fact, next week will be 41 years. So I've got to see a lot of Stars games, a lot of 51 games over that time frame.
That was, I'm trying to think. Jimmy Riggleman was the manager of that club. Cub fans familiar with Jim.
Sweeney battling the sun, makes a catch. And an exciting time here. $9 billion worth of projects announced or under construction.
Right, we'll attract about 40 million people to Las Vegas in 2014, but a lot of new projects. The Link project, which is the high roller wheel, which is the largest observation wheel in the world. That opens up in a couple of weeks, along with shops and dining and nightclubs there. And then the SLS Las Vegas, which is the site of the former Sahara, that opens up on Labor Day. And then we have the Cromwell, which opens up on Memorial Day. So we've got a lot of new construction happening there, more rooms. Slotzilla downtown, a zip line for those who like to do that. So we just keep reinventing the destination and making it better and better, more exciting for the people who visit here every single year.
Eric Young now batting left-handed against the right-hander Pimentel. 2 balls, no strikes.
Who's the top show in town now? Is there one that gets the biggest numbers?
We have a show for everyone. They're all great. And the one thing is the variety of acts, whether it's Cirque or individual performers, keep coming in and out of the destination. And Celine Dion, we've got the Michael Jackson show now over at the Mandalay Bay, but just a variety of things to do.
Garth Brooks just finish up here.
Garth Brooks, and we just we've also got Faith Hill and McGraw and all of that and going on, and what is it, there's more entertainment here on one weekend than most cities have in a year, so it's that variety that keeps people coming back.
That's a strike, and it's 3-2. NFL Sundays are big here, and obviously you mentioned March Madness.
March Madness is the big time you come in to start picking your brackets and selecting your teams, and it's all the way through to the Final Four, and so that also creates a lot of excitement in the sports books, and there's entertainment and former players and all kinds of stuff.
Ball 4, Young will take first. Over 40 million visitors this year. We mentioned the projects underway. $9 billion worth. And it is the #1 meeting and convention destination in all of North America.
Well, for the last 19 years, we've been #1, and we're going to stay #1. And we keep adding new facilities. We just did, for example, we had the ConExpo ConAg show here in Las Vegas with 125,000 attendees, the world's biggest trade show. The 2.4 million square feet of space that they took up there. They come back every 3 years, but we have all types of shows. We have 22,000 conventions and meetings in Las Vegas each year. So we are the capital for meetings and conventions because you can get business done in our city. We're going to embark on a big $2.5 billion remodel extension of our property, the Global Business District, again, to attract more conventions and more variety of conventions, both domestically as well as internationally.
Fastball for a strike, and a good one. And it's 0-1 on Lagares. There's David Wright on deck. Nice local connection, too. Chris Bryant from Las Vegas. Rossio was talking to Chris before the game. He used to come to Big League Weekend when he was in high school. This is like 2009, 4 years ago. And he pointed out where his seats were. He remembers watching the Cubs. And here he is in a Cubs uniform back in his hometown.
And he has to be very excited to be here today to put them in front of the home crowd and Bonanza High School, and just a great ball player.
He caught the ceremonial first pitches today. A lot of family and friends in attendance. And Chris should get the start tomorrow at third. Bonanza High School, 9 miles from where we sit right now.
Yeah, baseball, Las Vegas high school baseball is very well known. A lot of national rankings for some of the teams. A lot of great players coming out of here. Of course, Greg Maddux going into the Hall of Fame. So we
Bryce Harper.
Yeah. And so we have a lot of connections to baseball, and it's a good baseball community.
Called strike 3 for out number 2. Again, you could not have dialed up a better day for baseball. Temperatures in the 70s, lots of sunshine. And we needed it. Back home, it's been a rough winter.
We've been watching some of the weather in the Midwest and the East Coast, and this is a great place for people to come and vacation, or as I said, for a meeting. But the weather is always great, and it's very outdoor types of things you can do. You can go up to Red Rock, you can go down to the Grand Canyon, you can go to the Valley of Fire, Lee's Canyon. So there's a lot of outdoor activity, people bicycling, rock climbing, those types of things. So it's something for everyone, and that's why we're the most popular destination in the world. It's the brand that really does deliver on the experience, and anyone who wants to come here, I know that the Chicago area is a great market for us. Cubs fans love to come to Las Vegas every year. Some of them are here today, so it's the most exciting place you can ever visit.
Yeah, but I bet you've probably never had a polar vortex.
Have not had a polar vortex. No, we have not had one of those. I've seen it on TV, but I've never had one here.
Probably not anxious to have one here either.
No. This is just the way it should be, right like this.
It's Young at first. Pimentel will keep a close watch on him. This ballpark actually hosted some regular season games when the A's were here. Gosh, that was probably 20 years ago now.
Yes, it was. Yeah, they played 3 series here, so in opening, because their park wasn't ready yet. So we were able to accommodate them, and that was exciting for the park. And of course, we've had AAA All-Star games here, and we've had the AAA World Series, and a lot of great baseball activity at this ballpark. Great players who have played here too.
They're throwing a little bit closer over there at first. Former Cub Tom Goodwin, their first base coach. (3-0) on Wright. May have the green light on a day like this. Wind blowing out.
Yeah, you could hear the conversation now, right? If you didn't have the green light, Skip, I flew 4.5 hours across the country for these exhibition games. You better give me the green light. Let me swing it. Whoa.
No chance to swing the bat.
Pimentel, a offseason acquisition, a minor league free agent. The Cubs picked him up this winter. He had spent the entirety of his minor league career with the Texas Rangers. The bulk of last year at Double-A, he was 8-7 there. Good strikeout numbers.
That was actually a 2-1 pitch, so now 3-1. And a ground ball left side. Good sliding stop. Rossi, thanks again. Appreciate you stopping by. It's always great to be here in Las Vegas.
Great to see you again.
We constantly evolve to meet your needs every day of the week.
In Las Vegas, Bartolo Colon has been sharp early. And a 1-ball, no strike count on Nate Scherholtz.
Career best for Nate last year in the home run department with 21. Really good in the first half. Dropped off a fair bit in the second half of the season. And we talked about him last time. He would like to get an opportunity to face more left-handed pitching.
Leadoff single.
Cubs baseball is brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Great times are waiting. Grab some Buds.
Anthony Rizzo with a booming home run in the second. So the low batting average from last year, he struggled with runners in scoring position, but he hit a lot of doubles, took a lot of walks, which certainly mitigated some of those low numbers. There's a foul ball.
Here's what he did last time up. 3-1 pitch from Bartolo Colon. And did what he was supposed to do with it. So he's talking about his hands last time up, and it looked to me like he's changed his hands a little bit, just a little quieter. Remember last year he had the hands set low, and maybe they're a little higher now, but there was a lot of movement and dipping of the bat head. It looks like he's a little bit, a little quieter there and gets into his load position a little earlier. Pulled off that one a little bit.
Deep again. Gone. He's hit 2. And it's now 4-3. Mets 4, Rizzo 3.
Whatever he's doing, it sure is working. There's so much focus this spring on the youngsters, and Rizzo he's not a grizzled veteran. And we've been so much talk about the prospects. Nice to see Anthony Rizzo having the spring that he's having.
Maybe the only 2 bad pitches Colon has thrown, and both to Rizzo, and he made him pay twice.
Rizzo with the early lead for the MVP of the baseball weekend series here in Vegas.
Looking for a way to make your business stand out from the competition? Host your best customers and guests in a private suite at Wrigley Field. The Nuveen Investment Suites can accommodate anywhere from 15 to 55 guests. That include food, all-you-can-drink beverages, and parking. To book your premier experience at the ballpark, go to Cubs.com/suites or call 773-404-4200. Sweeney lifts, right center, caught by Granderson.
If Rizzo does win that MVP award, he'll receive a framed autographed 8x10 of Wayne Newton. It's an MVP trophy this year.
Well, Javier Baez grounded out his first time up.
You asked earlier about the keys to success for Colon, and a veteran guy who's seen it all. That home run did not scare him out of the strike zone.
No, it did not. The jam shot bounce out for Baez, who's 0 for 2.
Some of the guys, after giving up a big home run, they'll try to overthrow a little bit, maybe reach back for a little something extra and start to misfire, or maybe they become a little gun shy and don't want to challenge.
Doesn't take much time between pitches. And it's 1-1 on McDonald. Now 2-1. Feathered it in there, and it's 2-2. The other Cubs split squad trailing Kansas City 4-0. Jeff Samardzija struggled today, gave up, or has given up 4 runs in 3 2/3 on 7 hits and 3 walks, and is now out of the game. 2-2 on McDonald. 2 homers for Anthony Rizzo, keeping the Cubs in this game. Will get out of play.
Might be on your own the rest of the way, Len. It's only my second start of the spring. 4 innings. Maybe get a little running in. A little ice.
You're going all 9.
Run to the store. I'll get us a bucket of chicken we can have on our way to the airport.
That will get into left center. Good at bat. Another pitch that was elevated. Eli Whiteside.
2 outs in the inning. See if the Cubs contemplate doing a little running here with McDonald.
Whiteside along with John Baker. A couple of veterans brought in as insurance, possibly starting the year at AAA. George Kataris will back up Wellington Castillo.
It's so important to have depth at the catcher position. Nice to have that veteran presence down at AAA to kind of nurture the young pitchers as they come up through. And also, in case there's an injury, a guy you can bring to the big leagues and feel comfortable putting him back there behind the plate from time to time.
Wright has time, slings it across. The Cubs get 2 on Carlos Pimentel. His second inning of work. The Cubs back into this game now, down only a run.
not for the good work by Frank Batista, it might be down 3 or 4 runs, but he's the one that came in back in the 3rd inning with the bases loaded, nobody out. Really did a nice job cleaning that up.
He's an intriguing guy with closer experience. And Granderson got a multi-year contract with the Mets. Last year, one of many Yankees dealing with injuries. He only played in 61 games in his final year with the Yanks. Had been pretty durable prior to that. Oh, and 2. 2 years ago, he had 43 home runs.
Ooh, good off-speed pitch there.
Nasty. Well, we are playing the Mets, and they're going to honor the late Ralph Kiner this season with that patch on the left. Hall of Famer and longtime Mets broadcaster passed away in February at age 91. He was a Cub in 1953 and 54, and what a career he had. 10 years in the major leagues. He hit 369 homers. So you can do the quick math. About 37 homers a season he averaged. J.D., Kiner led the National League in home runs the first 7 years of his career, and 6 of those years he led the majors.
And topping out at 54 in 1949.
Missed 3 seasons before his MLB debut to serve in World War II.
A career that was cut short because of back issues. He was done playing by the age of 32. And just think about what Kiner could have done had he been healthy. Played 15 full years or so.
He was a White Sox broadcaster in 1961. Then he joined the Mets in their expansion season of 1962. And until the day he died, he was still working, at least part-time, for the Mets. So this 2014 season will be the first in the history of the franchise Ralph Kiner will not be working as a broadcaster. Kiner's Corner. Did you ever appear on Kiner's Corner?
No, I blew it. I had a chance to appear on Kiner's Corner, but I didn't get out of the clubhouse in time. But growing up in northern New York, we used to get the Mets telecast on WOR, and it was Bob Murphy and Lindsey Nelson and Ralph Kiner. And, the post-game show, Kiner's Corner, that was fun stuff. You wouldn't see that in today's game.
You couldn't get out of the clubhouse in time?
Yeah, because I pitched, and I pitched pretty well. And it might have been my rookie year. I don't remember all the details, but so I was doing the media thing. And somebody had come over, and one of our PR people said, "Hey, Ralph would like to have you on Kiner's Corner." And I said, "Okay." But I didn't know that was like my cue to just leave, to blow everybody else off. But apparently that's what you needed to do, and I just didn't feel comfortable doing that. So I wrapped up with the other writers, and I said, "Okay, I'm ready to go." And they're like, "Ah, it's too late."
No good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah. Players used to come in, they'd have their jersey off, but they'd still be in some semblance of their uniform. And what are you talking about this early? I seem, and as a child, I seem to remember as a kid, a player walking in there, setting a beer can down on the table and just talking ball with Ralph, and they'd go to the highlights, and invariably Ralph would say, "It looked like you hit a slider there, Dave," and "No, that was a fastball, Ralph."
Campbell grounds out as we honor the great Ralph Kiner. The organization, Randy Bush, is with us in the booth. It's Matt Caesar will lead it off, and he fouls out of play. How are you, Randy?
Good. Good to be here with you guys, as always.
Good to have you. Beautiful day for baseball.
Beautiful day. As you said earlier, we've been coming here to Vegas for a number of years now. It's a great trip for our guys. Kind of falls at a good time during the spring, as sometimes a lull can set in the middle of the games, and this is a nice time for guys to continue to get their work in, play in a great environment, and have a little fun in Vegas. And they get treated very well here, and it's been a great partnership for us.
Caesar will start the year in the minor leagues as he squares to bunt and takes the pitch low. I mean, how invaluable is this for a kid like Matt to face former Cy Young Award winner and a guy who last year was one of the best starters in the game?
Yeah, it's just great. I mean, you know, guys coming to big league camp and experiencing all the things that go into competing against a guy like Bartolo Colon, getting used to being on the same field with guys like that, and experiencing traveling with your teammates and spending time in the Major League clubhouse. It really is invaluable, and it's a big part of acclimating guys and helping them along the progress towards their future Major League careers.
I think being in big league camp, or even coming over from minor league camp and getting a few at-bats, a few innings on defense, it's the best carrot you can give a minor leaguer, right? Because they head back to minor league camp and they go, I want to be back over there as soon as I can get there.
It's tremendous, and it's something that's a lot different than it was done years ago. We do that a lot more now, where we bring guys over and we try to expose different guys to it and give guys an opportunity. And what it does is make guys more comfortable as they move along through the organization and as they progress to different levels, and ultimately, obviously, in the big leagues.
Nice play by Colon.
I remember one time when I was in the Yankee minor league system coming up, I got a chance to go over to big league game. Actually, it was the big leaguers were playing an exhibition game against a AA club in Nashville, and I got to go. You know what I remember most about it? I got big league meal money. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool.
Sure. It's all part of it.
But
big league,
right,
yeah, big league meal money, big league spreads, and just the whole first-class attitude that goes along with being a big leaguer, and it's a nice thing for young guys to experience.
Yeah, we should note, for instance, the way you wear your uniform. Most clubs have policies in terms of what the minor leaguers can do, but you come up to the big league team, you can let your pant bottoms down like Darwin Barney, right? So there's subtle things where you get a little more freedom when you get to this level. That ball hit very well by Barney, but it's going to be run down.
Yeah, a little more freedom, as you said. Things are a lot more structured in the minor leagues and regimented in terms of what you're allowed to do. A little more freedom here. Really nice to see Darwin hit a couple balls hard to the opposite field today. Base hit to right earlier, and obviously hit that ball really well to right center there. So nice to see him. That's something that he's really been working on, is using the whole field, and nice to see him having that good approach today. Also a base hit to left earlier.
Now Donnie Murphy with 2 outs. And with Randy Bush, Cubs assistant general manager. Fly ball well hit, center field. Lagares back on this. He'll have to play it off the wall, and Murphy will have a double. So Randy, the other night, young 19-year-old Albert Almora made a terrific defensive play in the bottom of the ninth. Unfortunately, the Mariners had tied the game on a 2-run single, but from center field, instead of firing late to the plate, which he would have, and most outfielders want to make that throw in that situation, he fired a seed to second, almost got the guy rounding the bag. If they had gotten him, that tying run wouldn't have scored and the game would have ended. Those are the instinctual plays that you can teach guys, but man, when they already have it, that's pretty rare, and that's pretty special, isn't it?
He is wise beyond his years. He is a very savvy player defensively, on the bases, at the plate. He understands situations. All of the things that go into playing the game at a high level, he understands those things. And as you said, he's already accomplished at a lot of them. So it certainly speeds up the process when you have a guy who understands not only offensively situational things with the base running and the approach at the plate, as I said, but defensively that was just an outstanding play that just comes to him naturally. He seems to be able to slow the game down and think things through quickly before it happens, so that he's prepared for just about anything that happens on the field, and that's exciting to watch.
He has not had a lot of minor league experience, but has certainly impressed everyone with his maturity.
And I think one of the maybe the overused cliches, not just in baseball but all sports. I always hear people talk about rookie mistakes. You know, there's plenty of veteran guys that never quite figure it out, and there's a lot of young players that do. And you know, Almora is obviously a great example of a kid that kind of knows how to play the game already.
Yeah, he was described early on in our amateur scouting process by many of our scouts as a baseball player, and it's kind of an ultimate compliment to what you're just saying. Is he just knows how to play the game and knows how to do things the right way. And as tremendously talented as he is, you add on top of that his ability to think things through and make plays instinctually, and it's fun to watch.
Well, that's the other part of the equation, because so many times when you talk about those instinctual players, they're gamers, they're gritty, and you know, they can do all the intangibles, but they don't have that skill set. But this kid does.
Correct. That's why it's exciting to watch. And as Len said, he just needs to play. He needs to get out and play games and stay healthy this year. And that's really what he needs in his development, is just to continue to play games.
Probably see Chris Bryant get some time late, and will start tomorrow here in his hometown. A nice benefit for him here with Big League Weekend. Used to come to these games not too long ago when he was in high school. I think, I want to be on that field one day.
Got to be a lot of fun for him. Yeah, saw him out catching the first balls earlier before the game. Big ovation from the fans. It's got to be a big thrill for him.
Real quickly, Randy, the new facilities, not only the ballpark drawing 14,000, 15,000 for weekend games, but the new Performance Center, the Under Armour Performance Center. It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, really, it's been tremendously well received by the fans, obviously with the attendance, and fans are really enjoying it. But it's been great for us in terms of not only getting our players ready for spring training, obviously this first year as we moved into the facility, but just in viewing it as a year-round training center and all the things that we're going to be able to do on a year-round basis there. And as you said, I mean, tremendous weight room and rehabilitation facilities there to get 12 covered batting cages, and just everything that you could want as a player to prepare yourself not only for spring training to have a great year, but year-round, as I said.
2-2 just off the inside corner. The Cubs setup in Mesa is the envy of certainly everybody in the Cactus League, if not all of baseball right now. What a beautiful ballpark. I mean, it's a big league game. I mean, spring training can sometimes not have a lot of energy, but every game at Cubs Park has that big league energy. There's a 3-2, and walked him.
Good at that.
He had a really good year last year, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
And playing right field at Wrigley is not easy.
Absolutely. A great at bat right there. Really patient approach, and it's one of the things he brings.
That will be it for the starter Cologne. Terry Collins will make a change. We're with Randy Bush. Cubs trying to at least tie this game here in the fifth. We'll be back.
The ball is so strong that if you can, you know, if you can just get him to stay focused through the middle of the field and have that good approach, he can hit the ball out anywhere. That first home run he hit was even more towards center field than right field today, and then the second one was more towards right field. But he's just so strong that you just want him to focus on staying through the middle of the field, and you just know good things are going to happen for him.
So he'll bat with the Cubs trailing by a run. They do have the tying run at second. Scherholtz, after a walk, is at first. Outside corner, and a strike. Internal improvement. It's a big part of this game that gets overlooked. Most people look around baseball and they look at what did you add, what did you subtract. But that's usually the biggest area, right? Is what guys did last year and what they hopefully will do this year.
Yeah, and it's a part of maturing as a major league player. And you know, guys, just even though you prepare them as much as you can in the minor leagues, they're still not finished products, and they still don't know how to maintain their composure in big situations and learn how not to get themselves out through the course of a season. And you know, that's an ongoing process, and it's something that guys have to learn, and there's really no shortcut to it.
Outside, 2-1. I know Starlin is itching to get back onto the field. It's not a serious injury, but the organization wants to take no chances with re-aggravating that thing, right?
Absolutely. Make sure not only that he's healthy, but that he's completely strong in his lower half and ready to go out. And as he says, he loves to play every day, and his goal is to play 162 or close to it. So we want to make sure that he's put in the best possible position to make that happen.
Well, we like what we saw from him in the first 2 games of the Cactus League before he got hurt, like the old Starlin. 2-2 on Rizzo. And it's full, 3-2.
This is a big part of what you're talking about too, Randy, in a situation like this. And again, this is a spring training game, but realization of the base out situation. How aggressive is the pitcher going to be? Is he going to challenge me? Is he going to try to tiptoe around me? And I think a lot of what happened with Anthony last year, just the burden of expectations maybe got to him a little bit.
Absolutely. And his own internal expectations for the most part. It's, we want him to go out and play, learn, have fun playing the game, but everybody puts pressure on themselves. It's a natural part of it. You want to be successful. You want to go out and be great at your craft. And, I think it's real easy for young guys to get caught up in that.
Especially for, a young guy who did not yet have a full season in the big leagues, and all of a sudden he was quote-unquote the face of the franchise. And you can almost see in his body language sometimes the frustration.
Another 3-2 with the runners going. Ball 4. That'll set it up for Ryan Sweeney. Serves 2 purposes. Keeps the inning alive, and it keeps you with us, which we always enjoy, Randy.
Absolutely. Big spot here for Ryan. Get one up in the air to right.
Ryan was basically out of a job early last year. Ended up with the Cubs and got a 2-year extension after the season. Outside. Ball 1. He's just a good baseball player, Ryan Sweeney. All this happening after 2 are out. And the emergence of Sweeney also allowed you to trade Brian Bogusevic, a guy everybody liked a lot, but you bring in Justin Ruggiano, so you kind of balance the ledger in the outfield.
Yeah, it really has. And Ruggiano, boy, he really had a great spring to date, and just been very, very impressive. He fits great in our outfield mix, and it's going to be fun to watch those guys.
3-0 with the bases loaded. These are the kinds of innings hitting coaches love. Grind it out.
Sherrill's worked a walk against Colon, who rarely walks anybody, and then Rizzo in a situation where you might get a little antsy and jump at one, was willing to take the walk. And now Sweeney's up there and a hitter's count.
Absolutely.
And he walked in ball 4 to tie the ball game. Randy, as just a baseball guy in general, how much does spring training matter in terms of guys with previous big league experience who might be bubble guys to make a big league roster? It has to matter somewhat, but the track record obviously is a big part of it too.
It does, and it matters in different ways depending on where you're at in your development. Obviously, veteran players, spring training is veteran players who have the club made, or they're approaching spring training so much different than guys, as you said, who maybe have a chance to make the club but need to go out and perform. And boy, I tell you, that's a lot of pressure, and that's something that I know in my own career I was in that situation a lot, where I needed to make the team, and that was the most pressures I felt during the year was during spring training, going through that process of having to impress every day. So.
You might have been more out of sorts if they had told you don't worry about it, right? In some ways.
Yeah, what are you guys
more natural for you
saying here?
But it helps me understand, what these guys are feeling and how you can put pressures on you. That people think it's spring training, but it's different for different people.
Big swing by Baez. Look, you're going to see that a lot right there. He does not get cheated.
He just got fooled there on the breaking ball, but yeah,
as time goes on, we're going to try to get him to chase that stuff. If they make a mistake, he is going to make you pay. Ooh, that was a good pitch. Able to fight it off.
Yeah, we talk a lot about a two-strike approach, right? Maybe spreading the legs, using the hands a little bit more. I think Javi, he doesn't really change his approach a whole lot. There's a big leg kick.
He's fun to watch, and he's continuing to learn. It's been great for him, again, to be in big league camp and be around all these guys again this year. And it's just the next step in his development.
Called strike three, a rare called strike three for Javier Baez, but the Cubs tie it up. And Randy, always a pleasure. Thanks for stopping. From Dina, the great granddaughter. One change for the Cubs. Mendy Alcantara now playing second for Barney. Pimentel still working as he faces Flores to start it. High for ball one. So no replay here today. Each team has, I think, like a minimum of 5 spring training games during which replay will be used. Rick Renteria unsuccessfully challenged a close play at first the other night against the Mariners. I was somewhat skeptical. Last year's there was talk of instant replay, but having looked at how they're going to do it, JD, and it's not going to be perfect, and I do think there's an open mind collectively that it'll be tweaked over the next 2 or 3 years. I like it, and I think it's going to work.
Yeah, well, I'm with you. I like the concept. I like the idea of ultimately getting the call right, and there are some concerns. People have concerns about it slowing the game down. Pace of play, obviously, a very important issue for Major League Baseball. So to me, the trade-off might be, if you're going to have replay and review, then you try to speed the game up in other ways. Keep the manager off the field. And the one issue I have is not so much an issue, but I'm just curious to see how it's going to play out. This whole concept of, in the umpire's judgment, the manager has a certain amount of time to decide whether he's going to ask for review or not. Because the manager can go out there and argue just like he always has had the ability to go out there and argue. At some point, the umpire is going to ask him, do you want to review this or not? So they haven't really made any hard and fast rule as to what that period of time is. So for one umpire, it may be a minute and a half. For somebody else, it might be 5 seconds, right? I mean, theoretically, they're saying about 15, 20 seconds.
Right. Yeah, I think that they do have somewhat of a guideline. But the argument part of it will not go on forever, that it'll be, in the 15 to 30 second range.
And that will allow the club to have their video people review the play and let the manager know whether they should challenge or not. So I guess that's the way it plays out, right? So you do it the way it's set up now. And if you find that there's some inconsistency with the way it's being handled, then maybe you have to go to a more start a clock. The crew chief has got a little watch. Manager comes running on the field. Click. You click it. Okay, 15 seconds is up. What's the deal? Challenge or no challenge?
I think the other thing that I've found watching these spring training games is kind of in our mind when we think about adding replay, that there'll be a lot of challenges and a lot of close plays. There aren't as many as you think. Because when push comes to shove, if you have to actually challenge, a manager will get 1 in the first 6 innings. and he'll get an additional one if he's correct on the first challenge. But it's one thing for the crowd to go, oh, he looks safe, but if you're managing to go, he looked out to me by half a step, you can't
or it's
get affected by that.
And if it's a bang-bang play that it's not going to prove conclusive to the people reviewing the video, then there's no sense in challenging it.
Popped him up. Alcantara makes a catch.
This season, the Cubs are celebrating 100 years of Wrigley Field with 10 unique homestands to honor 10 amazing decades. You won't want to miss the official Wrigley Field birthday celebration. That's on Wednesday, April 23rd. Tickets are still available for that game, which will feature, among other things, the Cubs and Diamondbacks wearing throwback Federal League uniforms. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com.
And we will hit the air at 12:30 before the game that afternoon. And opening day at the ballpark as well on April 4th. Pitching change, 4-4 in the 6th.
Yeah, and you can see people all over the place. The berm is packed.
29 years old, born in Cuba, now lives in Miami. Cubs signed him in 2011. Good old number 99.
And he pitched in Mexico. He actually pitched for Team Spain in the World Baseball Classic.
Started and relieved last year with AAA Iowa. He comes on with 2 outs, nobody on, facing Omar Quintanilla.
Looks like he hides the ball pretty well. Had good strikeout numbers at Iowa last year. Punched out 118 batters in 108 innings of work.
Sidearm action, 2-0. Alcantara will get him to end the inning. Bottom 6, 4-4. How about David Koechner and George Will as the cast for True Detective Season 2?
You got to pitch that.
Yeah. Darnell McDonald looks at a strike. Ryan Reed came on in the 5th. By right, Quintanilla will throw. The pick by Campbell, they got him.
Nice play here by Quintanilla. Wright was going to be able to make a play on it. Could not. Quintanilla rather stays with it. Bang, bang.
Ruben Tejada will be there.
I might challenge that one, Len.
Yeah. Opening day shortstop. Slider missed outside on Whiteside. Late swing.
So let's get back to this replay thing.
Okay.
For a minute. So managers have the first 6 innings to issue a challenge. If they get it right, they get one more. From the 7th inning on, umpires have the right to review boundary calls, home runs, things of that nature, like they always have.
And the other things that are subject to replay now. And also, Rick, if it's in the 8th inning, he can go out and ask and request. They suggest that they look at replay, but the umpires, if they feel they need to, will. Okay?
So a tag play.
It's like the final 2 minutes of an NFL half. If that last play had happened in the top of the 9th, they could have reviewed it.
And I'm guessing that the umpires have been told, if you're in that late game situation and a manager comes out and wants to take a look, be fairly tolerant, be willing to, unless you absolutely know, hey, Skip, we saw it, we got it, let's move on.
Well, it's a good question for Jim Joyce, and he handled the Armando Galarraga thing very well in the aftermath after getting the call completely wrong at first base. Clearly the batter was out. He called him safe. It would have been a perfect game for Galarraga, but yeah, I'm wondering if he wishes there were replay a few years ago.
Yep. Yeah, he lost a lot of sleep over that one.
Jason Donald in 2010. The Cleveland Indians was called safe. Barehanded play, David Wright. That's a big league play on Big League Weekend. Blake Parker. Bust out season last year. Seeing it. Eric Young, 4-4 tie in the 7th.
Yeah, Parker, real nice story for the Cubs last year, posting those numbers in 49 appearances. Had a cup of coffee the year before. Spent the bulk of 2012 in Iowa.
Corner, 2-1.
Have to smooth out that bullpen last year. And remember, early last year, the bullpen really struggled. So the Cubs love to avoid this year, and they've added some power arms to that bullpen. Jose Veras will be the closer. Veteran Wesley Wright, a lefty, has joined the ball club. Take a little bit of the load off of James Russell. MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is now available. Join the millions of subscribers who watch every out-of-market game live in true HD on over 400 devices. Visit Cubs.com for details.
He got him on strikes. That's out #1.
A well-placed fastball. Outer edge.
Paradigm shifts in our game take a long time. They're glacial. In terms of pace, teams are hesitant to do something totally out of the ordinary, like the 4-man rotation, just because nobody else does it. But whenever it does happen, I find it interesting. And I do think that bullpen usage, I think we're ready for some sort of shift, maybe subtly. Trevor Hoffman's been retired for a while. Mariano Rivera, the greatest ever, has now retired. Jonathan Papelbon is probably not the same guy he was a few years ago. In other words, the dominant closer who's going to make a ton of money and always gets the ball to start the 9th inning. There aren't that many of them in terms of guys who last, right? And Bill James, I know, had talked about it, and the Red Sox tried it briefly, but the idea of trying to use matchups, not being tied down to one guy. The reply to that is, well, you're not going to get anybody who's any good who wants to pitch for you because they all want saves for arbitration and beyond. But I do think that that's an area where we've seen subtle little tweaks and changes, right?
Primarily in the finances, the amount of money that clubs are willing to pay for, quote unquote, frontline closer. I think teams are taking a hard look at. Because of the way, and it's ironic, it's because of the way closers are used. If you were to ask a closer to come in and pitch the 8th inning, or come in during the 8th inning with a couple men on base, shut that inning down, then pitch the 9th, and that guy were able to do that and be successful doing it a high percentage of the time, then I'm going to be more willing to open up my checkbook. But if the job description still says you're going to pitch the 9th inning, and most of the time you're going to have maybe a 2-run lead, 3-run lead, you're always going to come in the innings clean with nobody on base, I'm thinking as an organization, I'm going to be able to identify a guy in my current stable that's probably going to be able to do that a high percentage of the time. So I don't mean to diminish the role, and obviously it's important, but unless the job description changes, I don't want to spend $14 million for that guy.
Well, I think the other just basic math is, do you want to give somebody $12 million to pitch 62 innings?
Right. Yeah, I would rather put that money into my starting rotation, limit the amount of work my bullpen has to do for me.
The thing with pitching, though, that makes it really complicated because of free agency and trying to bring people in, if you do make major changes from the norm, you've got to develop those guys from day one and hopefully keep them throughout. And I know the Rockies have tried to do that, the Astros with the tandem starters in the minors.
How much are field goal kickers paid in the NFL relative to quarterbacks and running backs and linebackers?
I don't think very much.
As well, right? But it's an important job. But just I think that's kind of the shift we're talking about. That the closer's an important job, like a field goal kicker is. But because he's not going to give us 200 innings a year, and because we're not asking him to do maybe what Goose Gossage did or some of the other guys of that era, then we're not going to value it as much.
Right. An infield pop. Could look at it this way. We'll budget $15 million, or maybe expand our budget for the bullpen, but we're going to have 4 or 5 guys who all make $3 or $4 million. So they're going to be well paid, and we're not going to have anybody who's going to have 40 save opportunities. We'll mix and match.
Well,
well, it's an interesting discussion that I'm sure the Cubs front office has had, and a lot of other teams have done it too. Teams that maybe have not gotten the value out of those 9th inning guys. Stretch time. It's 4-4 here in the 7th.
Place to be. 5-time Grammy winner Michael McDonald, April 5th.
The day for Arismendi Alcantara switch hitter Corey Mazzoni. Now pitching for New York. You're probably saying to yourself, JD, looks like a different catcher in there. You're right.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
Kevin Plawecki.
That was him. It's like a spelling bee here with Plawecki and Alcantara and Mazzoni.
Outside.
Alcantara, an intriguing guy. Switch hitter with pop. Very good defender. Doesn't quite get the buzz that some of the other Cubs prospects, but scouts love this kid.
Cubs number 7 prospect, according to Baseball America. He's only 22. 5'10", 170, but you're right. He's got some pop. He had 15 homers last year with AA Tennessee, 36 doubles. Foul tip, strike 3.
Pretty young for that league.
Slider up and in on Donnie Murphy. Down the middle. Donnie Murphy was the first Cub in history to hit 8 home runs in his first 16 games with the club.
It's fun, wasn't it?
It was.
Went off the way he did.
Came up in August.
Cooled off, ultimately hit 255 with 11 home runs. He had to cool off. He would have self-combusted had he not.
He really did take it all in stride. He's had parts of 8 seasons in the big leagues. Parts of 12 seasons in the minor leagues. So he's been doing this a while. Called strike 3. Neat buckler there from Mazzoni.
Locked him up with that breaking ball. Set up probably by the up and in fastball earlier in the sequence.
So we were in Scottsdale on Monday against the Giants, and Barry Bonds was there, brought back as a spring instructor. Nate Scherholtz actually played with Bonds. It was Scherholtz's rookie season and Bonds' final year in the big leagues. Theoretically, you'd think he'd make the greatest hitting coach in the history of ever, Barry Bonds. I think for him, the question is going to be, can he give the information that he learned in his career and that was given to him by his dad and all of his hitting coaches to young players today? And I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I don't either. You know, typically the best players don't make good coaches. Because a lot of times they just do it and they don't know exactly how they're doing it or why they're doing it. Now Barry's, he's a fairly thoughtful hitter, but again, he gets back to, can you teach how quick he was?
And also not get frustrated with guys who don't quite get it right off the bat. Swing and a miss to end the inning. Through 7, we're tied at 4. Neat gets to play with the big league Cubs, so he'll finish the game today and probably get the start tomorrow, at least play quite a bit. Zach Rosscup, who made his big league debut last season, takes over on the mound. Ball 1 on Andrew Brown.
Pretty solid work for Roskup in a brief appearance with the big club. The stage is set for Kris Bryant to do something heroic here today in his hometown. Wouldn't that be fun?
Big cut and a miss by Brown. We had a nice chat with former big league pitcher Jerry Royce. Broadcaster here has been living in Vegas for a long time, about kind of the idea of when you're in the game, you're in uniform, how you kind of look at your place in life. And I mean, we can sit here and Kris Bryant can tell us what a neat deal it is to be back in his hometown, but I can't imagine he's thinking about that right at this moment, because it's not conducive to performing.
Put those thoughts on the shelf when you put the uniform on and you go out to play.
That's ball 4. And I think about a young Jim Deshaies making his big league debut as a New York Yankee, and if you had really contemplated it, you probably would have been frightened.
Oh, there was.
You might have been anyway.
Yeah, there was a lot of knee knocking going on. Tremendous high school career and college. Some think he'll hit 50 home runs in the big leagues.
The new catcher Lopez will head out. Rafael Lopez, and talk things over with Roskup. Mets scored 3 times in the very first inning off Tyoshi Wada. The Cubs able to come back. Couple of homers by Anthony Rizzo. And a bad throw by Roskup.
See Anthony coming out of his crouch a little bit. He thought Roskup was going to go home and just wasn't in a real good position to knock that ball down. E1, go ahead, run in scoring position.
A foul ball. Campbell just got a piece of it as it popped out of Lopez's mitt. Well, I haven't really broken down the National League East, but just kind of watching from afar the Braves dealing with all their pitching injuries here in spring training. The Nationals feel like they're going to be back and be a lot better than they were last year. Ryne Sandberg, after being the interim manager, has a long-term contract.
Yeah, does that Philly club have any gas left in the tanks? That veteran club? I think most folks think the Nationals are probably the class of the division right now. A lot of people thought that last year too.
Too many people giving the Mets and Marlins much of a chance. That's low. The 2-1. Campbell was late on that swing. 2-2.
Look at the numbers for Roskup last year, combined AA, AAA, 2-2 with a 2.12 ERA. But the number that really gets your attention, the 83 strikeouts in 51 innings of work. lion's share of that was at AA Tennessee. At Iowa, in just 7 2/3 innings of work, he struck out 17. So clearly he's got swing and miss stuff.
Came over with Matt Garza back in January of 2011. 3-2. What was Matt's quote earlier this week? He'd like to kick the Cubs in the teeth at every opportunity. Now a Milwaukee Brewer. In the air. Let's see if Caesar has a play on it. He will, and foul ground for the out. You think Matt walked into Caesar's Palace and said, this is my place? Yeah. Flores. The go-ahead run at second and 1 out. Swing and a miss. Yeah, this is a long trip for the Mets, but if you're the guy who has to get on the bus every other day and go 2, 3, 4 hours across Florida, would you rather do that or just fly for 4 hours and spend the weekend in Las Vegas?
Yeah, shake things up a little bit.
Yeah. Crushed to left, and it's out. A home run for Flores, a 2-run shot, and the Mets lead 6-4.
Flores showing a willingness to chase that slider down out of the zone. And the one in the zone, obviously he was able to get to. There's the first one. That feeble swing convinces Roskop, yeah, slider's the way to go. But that backdoor breaking ball just stayed up and then left the yard.
So 6-4 Mets. And it's the catcher, Kevin Plawecki. Quickly 2 strikes. Do you have a sleeper team in the National League, a team that you think might surprise some people? I have one.
Well, I haven't really broken it all down, but I think the Brewers are probably going to be better than many people think.
Ding, ding, ding. That's the team, because I think Ryan Braun, assuming he's healthy, he had the thumb issue last year. I think he's going to come back and have a huge year. I don't think he really gets distracted.
No.
By all the booing he'll encounter.
The other day he said he was an artist and he has to perform regardless. And you know, and I think Yovani Gallardo's probably going to be a lot better this year than he was last.
We've got Garza. Willie Peralta may have the best stuff on the staff. We will see. The other one for me, and we'll get a look at the Reds a little later on this spring. Their new manager, Brian Price, wants to run more as a team. He wants to shift more defensively. And they've got a new leadoff hitter named Billy Hamilton. If he gets on base a lot, he could steal 100. He stole second and third in the first inning when we saw them about a week ago. If he can find a way to get on base, I do think he'll get to triple digits.
That'll be fun.
And everybody in the world knows he's going to run, and he still does it. And is largely successful. And I think teams will pay lip service to try to keep him in check, but I think you could almost make a case for, number one, not letting him get on base, but once he does, essentially not worrying about him, because you're probably going to have Brandon Phillips, Joey Votto, Jay Bruce to follow. And I think the Reds people who've seen him do his thing, they believe that it can affect an inning in a lot of other ways.
Right. Sometimes a great base stealer, not just the ability to steal the bases, but the distraction he creates for the opposing pitcher, the frustration, and the, stepping off, throwing over, stepping out, pitching out, all those other things that you do to defend the running game can kind of get in the way of what you're trying to do to get hitters out. So maybe the thinking is, all right, he's on first base. Let's just get 3 outs before he tries to, before he makes his way around the bases. Well, a lot of really good pitchers over the years did not. Greg Maddux really didn't work it that hard shutting down the running game. Nolan Ryan. Go ahead and run. I'm just going to strike a couple people out here, and you'll be on third base, and I'll get a little pop up to center field to end the inning.
Quintanilla 0 for 3. He's flied out twice and grounded out. I think the conventional wisdom is the Pirates can't be as good as they were last year. Jay Burnett's now with the Phillies.
Yeah,
who knows? Maybe they will be.
The big question for me with the Pirates is health in the starting rotation. Liriano was so good last year. Can he repeat that performance? And he's had some injury issues. Will that creep up? How healthy is Wandy Rodriguez going to be?
Good breaking ball.
Yeah, Pittsburgh for me is the club that they could go either way. They could improve upon last year, and I wouldn't be stunned. But they could take a step backwards, and I wouldn't be surprised either.
We'll see them on opening day. Alcantara to Rizzo, 2 outs. That'll be it for Ross Cup. Here comes Renteria.
Born in Panama, went to high school in Bradenton, Florida. 10th round pick of the Tribe in 06.
Young chops it foul. Anyway, we've gotten a lot of tweets over the past few weeks on Arismendi Alcantara. Everyone's saying that's not how it's pronounced. It's got an extra A in there, but that is exactly how it's pronounced. good friend Mick Gillespie, who does the webcast with me here in spring training, and as the Tennessee Smokies had a long conversation with Arismendi about his last name. And it's Alcantara. The 1-1 swung on and missed.
Good depth to that breaking ball. He was baffled.
Ooh. As you would say, could have been.
Could have been. Might have been. Trying to clip that back corner. A little bit off the edge.
Contra can't get it. Base hit. They're going to get another run. And Young's trying for 2, and he'll get 2. It's a hustle double for Eric Young Jr., and it's 7-4.
Well, there with the man in scoring position, you've got to be willing to leave your feet to knock this ball down. But I think Alcantara was fooled by it. I think he felt like he could get that ball without leaving his feet. This ball had a lot of juice on it off the bat of Eric Young Jr.
Three-run uprising by the Mets here in the 8th. Changed him up there. Swing and a foul tip by Lagares.
Now first look at Espino. Looks like that breaking ball is his go-to pitch. Slow, steady progression through the Indians organization from 2007 to 2010, and since then he's been primarily at AAA.
Hey, Brett Jackson has knocked in 5 for the other split squad Cubs, and they now have a 6-5 lead over the Royals in the 9th. Laid off that breaker, 1-2.
A good time to try to run a heater in on his hands.
It's foul past third. Bryant will pick it up, and that'll end the inning. A little Dean on the break. 7-4 New York. Closer Bobby Parnell coming back from a neck injury that led to surgery last September, and he'll face Anthony Rizzo, who's already homered twice. I don't think that one's going to get out. One away.
Parnell with a big arm, mid-90s fastball, sharp curveball. And every now and then he'll throw a changeup, primarily fastball, curveball. Mid-90s, as I mentioned, with the fastball. One of those guys as a hitter, you go up there and you're looking to take a whack at that first good fastball you see. There are the numbers. An injury-riddled season, 5-5, 216, 22 saves, and 26 tries.
Zeke DeVos, switch hitter. Now playing center. 23 years old, product of the University of Miami. He's from South Florida. 3rd round pick in 2011. Backhanded play by Campbell. Parnell covering. Close. Got him. Well, you love the hustle. Don't love the head first slide. Could break a finger. I don't think he would have gotten there any faster doing that.
Yeah, I don't like it on 2 levels. One, you don't get there faster if you just run straight through the bag. And again, the injury issue. But I get it. You know, he's a young guy. He's excited to be here and play all out.
Baez 0 for 3.
Yeah, it'd be fun if he could catch up to one of these heaters.
An elevated breaking ball.
Parnell got away with it. It was bad enough that he didn't get hurt by it. The ball backed up and sat there for Baez.
Two and two. Deep to right, but foul.
Respecting the curveball there, a little bit behind that fastball.
And he got him that time. So Parnell impressive here with a 1-2-3. No.
The wickedly
There's the
talented
outfield. Justin Grimm. Came over from Texas. Should be a big part of the Cubs bullpen, facing Zach Lutz. And he pops it up. Walter Ibarra, the new shortstop, and he can't find it. Just into the game for Baez, and Lutz ends up at second.
He would rather have had a screaming one hopper to contend with than that high pop-up fresh into the game with this tough sky overhead. We talked about it 3.5 hours ago or so that it might be a problem today. So far it really hasn't. But this time kind of ate him up.
How about a double? I know I'm not talking about your St. Patrick's Day celebration.
A ringing
two-base hit.
double, a ringing double off the bat. Sunglasses might have come in handy there.
Kirk Neuenhuis. Low and outside, it's 2-0. Mets get another run. As Lutz scores. Special year, the 100th anniversary season of Wrigley Field. Cubs will wear throwback uniforms on Sundays representing the different decades. There are tickets available for opening day against the Phillies. And April 23rd, that's the big anniversary date of the opening of Weekman Park back in 1914. The Cubs will host the Arizona Diamondbacks right here on WGN. Brown fouls off. So the Federal League team played there the first 2 years of the ballpark's history, and then the Cubs moved in 1916. Wrigley family bought the club and renamed it Wrigley Field in the 20s. Runner goes. Neuenhuis got a pretty good jump, and he's safe. Stole that one off Grimm. So we've discussed this in the past, but I'm going to put a different spin on it. The team error concept. MLB is starting to now track defenders' movements to get a precise idea of routes to make defensive plays. I mean, we're getting to the point where everything is going to be so specifically measured. That's going to be caught by DeVos. What a play by Zeke DeVos. Neuenhuis will score on the tag play. I think he left early. I don't know why he would have left early. Now they're going to say he didn't.
What a beautiful play out there by DeVos in center field. We talked about his perhaps ill-advised dive into the bag at first base, but nothing wrong with this one. Beautiful play.
They appealed at third and said he didn't leave early, but I would beg to differ. Two more runs this inning. Nobody on now with one out.
So there you go. We're after the 6th inning. If you're in a tight ball game, that would be a play where you could go out and say, I can't challenge this, but I'd like for you guys to take a look at this.
Good slider from Grimm as Campbell swung and missed. So to finish my point, you know, we try to figure out all these things in terms of quantitative analysis. To give a guy a double on a pop-up, that skews the numbers, right? Yeah. That's not slugging. A pop-up to short. And I'm not saying you give the shortstop an error on a ball he can't see, but that's not a hit either. And I know people would say, well, that's just the way it's always been. That's well hit. And John Androli out there can't make the play. Campbell has a double. That's why I think we need to tweak the scoring rules to account for those types of things.
It is amazing technology that they're using now. You can actually track the route that a player takes from the outfielder for the ball. They can see when he takes his first step, how fast he's running, how much ground he covers.
Here's Flores with one out. And a runner at second. I'm going to find here the excluded plays in terms of video review, okay? As we start to kind of learn how this works. That play at third, not reviewable.
Really? Timing
so
plays.
As we work our way through it, balls and strikes. Umpire judgment. So interference, obstruction, check swings, balks, the infield fly rule. And I understand the idea that those things should not be reviewable, because it is kind of an instinctive call by an umpire, and how do you overturn really a judgment? Because the infield fly rule can be interpreted in different ways by different people, and I think that's a rule that has no definite it is or it isn't.
Right, and then if you do overturn a call like that, then you get the whole issue of placing runners where would they have been had to play.
And I think you open yourself up to protests, because then what if a team says, oh, okay, you're going to overturn an infield fly? Here's video of last year when you didn't call it.
Right.
So I get why they wouldn't. Fair, foul, and trap plays on the infield will not be subject. Tag-ups on fly balls, whether the runner left early, not reviewable. The judgment portion of the neighborhood play, that'll be an interesting one. It has long been essentially given that you don't necessarily have to touch the bag in an effort to not get run over by a runner. That does not include a play where the throw is bad and pulls the defender off the base. That's not considered the neighborhood play. So we're kind of learning on the fly, like everybody else, on what is reviewable and what isn't. And I'm sure there'll be a manager or two who would have tried to argue that tag play and may be told, no, you can't. You can't review it. Called strike. There are 3 types of calls as a result, or decision options, of replay. Confirmed, meaning the video shows that what we called is correct. Stands, which means the call stands inconclusive. That's the same result as confirmed, but it means we may have gotten it wrong, but we cannot find clear and convincing evidence. The third option is overturned. So those are the 3 possible decisions the umpires can make. The official in charge of replay will place the runners based on his judgment of where they would have been if the call had been made correctly. And Grimm just couldn't get a handle on it. That's a hit.
So he's given up a couple soft hits for sure in this inning. A little blooper to get things started. Now this swinging bunt out in front of home plate. He's also given up a couple of solid doubles to go along with that. And a tough ride for him. Couple in, couple on base. See Joe Madden, he's got his team working on a 4th out play because of potential challenges. So in other words,
so
bang bang play at first base. He's got his first baseman, whoever's kept throwing the ball home in case that lead runner's rounding third and trying to score. In case the play at first base is overturned. Wow. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you know, how do you make that? Then that becomes a tough determination. Okay, originally ruled out. Evidence says no, he was safe. Where are you going to place that runner?
They don't want to leave anything to chance.
How far down the line was he? Does that mean he would have scored, or does he have to go back?
My first reaction is they're overthinking it, but I'm not sure they are. He may be onto something.
Yeah, and I think that's the key. I think there has to be a lot of smart baseball people sitting around having those conversations, playing the what-if game. What if this scenario plays out? Okay, where are the base runners going to be? And you know, so he's saying, let's go ahead. I don't know how that gets ruled. So I don't think the umpires would say, okay, we called him out at first base. Evidence overrules that, says no, he really was safe. You threw the ball home and tagged the guy, so therefore we're going to give you that. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to say, once we call him out at first, the play is officially dead.
Regardless of what happens after.
Yeah. But I guess it would be evidence that he could point to, say, look, we threw the ball home and therefore he wouldn't have scored. You can't let him score. You got to send him back to third.
But what if they throw home and the guy between third and home stops running because the inning had ended?
I want to see the 3 outs in the inning run down between third and home.
From the sublime to the ridiculous.
Be almost like a guy stealing first base.
Kicks off the mound and to the shortstop Ibarra. And the inning is over. We go to the bottom of the ninth. Cubs trail by. John Andreoli will face Joel Correno, now pitching for the Mets. Boy, good cutter. A little late movement, tailing away from the right-handed hitter. Just about everybody throws one these days.
Well, if imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, with what Mariano Rivera did with his cutter, everybody else said, wait a minute, I want to do that.
Strike call, 1-2. Well, the guy who used to play catch with Mariano Rivera was there when it all started. Cutter. Mike Borzello, longtime member of the Yankees staff. Two misses. It's full, 3-2. Again, we will be breaking away in a couple of minutes for Bulls basketball. Bulls hosting the Sacramento Kings tonight here on WGN. And he walked him.
So if the Cubs have a furious comeback here, you'll have to read about it. Glenn will bring you up to speed on Twitter.
Cubs already with a win today, 6-5 in surprise over Kansas City. The Brett Jackson show late hit a home run and had the game-winning hit in the ninth. Lopez takes ball one outside. Outside, it's 2-0. Again, we will be breaking away for Bulls basketball. 9-4 Mets lead the Cubs. Again, we'll be back with you 3 o'clock Central Time from Mesa next Saturday. The Cubs hosting the Cincinnati Reds. We will see you then. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Good night now.
Does everyone go this far to bring you the tastiest wild-caught seafood? Long John Silver's does. And now lobster...
From the